Hello, let's play Wordle for Tuesday, July 14th. Yesterday we spun the wheel. It said to start with river. Are we going to learn something about R's? We did indeed learn something about R's. We learned that not only is there not one R, but there's also not two R's. Very important to know. All right. I never made that joke before in my life. So we have an E. We have the ability to do a Salé, but we learned that Salé second can cause problems, but it usually causes problems with ER traps, but I think there's a few others. So I think we should include a P in whatever we do, but we can't do clasp because there's an E. So what about something like place? I don't know if place is any good, but we're going to try it. All right, well, I think we're just going to, I was going to say we're going to shift the AE there, but no, E is yellow fourth. So E, I was going to say EA here, but A can't go in the middle. I'm wondering if it's starting with E or A. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to separate these. I suppose we could do E here and A here. That would be the kind of classic way to separate them. Or we could do EA here next to each other and not separate them. Okay, those are kind of the options. What seems to have, I mean, steam, steak, stead. So this is kind of a trap. Stead, steak, steam. So maybe I should guess one of those. I think D might be a better letter than K and M. I'm not actually sure. So we're going to go with stead and see what that does. Oh my God. Okay. I'm glad I got into that trap early then. So it's either steam or steak, unless I'm missing something. I thought of steam first, so I would feel bad if I guessed that third and it was the answer. Right, is it steak? I hope it's steak. Okay, good. If there was one that I hadn't thought of, it wasn't the answer. We'll find out in a minute. All right, and that's the advantage of thinking about, am I about to walk into a trap or not? I think place worked out pretty well. Although a Salé word would have worked out just fine in this case because we would have gotten the STE and A. And then we would just have to figure out what the last letter was. And so that would have happened about at the same time, actually. All right. So anyway, first thing we're going to do is spin the members wheel and see what tomorrow's starting word will be. It is, Xylil, suggested by Kenifa. We used to get this one to come up all the time because there was a bug where it was on the wheel over 100 times. But this is a legit pick. That bug was fixed and the wheel was cleaned up. So we are starting with Xylil tomorrow. Good luck to everybody who follows along, including myself. And let's do some analysis here. So the answer was steak, and we started with river. I mean, of course, river loses on ER words, right? It loses on any arbitrary ER word that isn't I here, and it loses on ER words that is I here. Not a surprise. Don't start with river. Not if you want to win. It's just leapt. That does use a P. Ooh, leapt is nice. Place is on the list. It's the fourth on the list. So that's not bad. And notice all of these use P. It's really interesting. There's something about P second that's really important. All right. So place. And place doesn't lose on anything, which is great. It suggests steak. And interestingly, it likes steak better than stead and steam. By quite a bit. Although, no, actually, these are all tied. So stead was better than steam, but not better than steak. And I think it's because of sneak. Steak also just edges out a tiny bit better because it also gives you sneak, which otherwise might be hard to find. That's my guess anyway. It doesn't really give us enough information to tell. So I did stead, and then there was a steen unlikely, but I did correctly list all the ones that were left, and I just got unlucky. All right. So it would have done something else. It would have done leapt. All right. Now it's going to do theta. That's interesting. So check the double T. How many double T's are there? There's mat. I think it's less about determining if there's two T's and more determining where the T is. It's interesting. Okay. And now we're down to the same trap, stead, steak, steam. So I don't know, one of these. It could be as bad as 6. Anywhere from 4 to 6. It looks like they're all equal in this case. All right. It starts with tails. 4 yellows, but there's still 14 answers that have those 4 yellows. Skate is what it suggests, and that is an anagram of the answer, which is steak. That's pretty funny, actually. All right. Steel is just gonna have the wow. Okay, yeah. So steel starters are just immediately in this trap, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get it in 2. Oh, well, I guess at least I get it in 3. Oh, darn it, I get it in 4. How do I get in 4 with 4 greens at the start? Oh, welcome to traps in hard mode. All right, in easy mode, it's not going to suggest getting into the trap. Actually, it is. I am wrong. Wait, why is steam filtered to the top but not steak instead? Interesting. Okay, so the reason is there's 3 words left. So if you gamble on them, you could get it in 2, 3, or 4. And so one guess, 2 guesses, or 3 guesses from here. And so the average is going to be 2 guesses left. You're either going to get 1, 2, or 3 of equal measure. But what you can do is guess something like admin or a bunch of these other ones, and which has the D and the M in it. So once you guess something like admin, now you're guaranteed to get it in 2. And so, in 3, but 2 after steel is what I mean. And so, according to probabilities, those are the same average number of guesses, even though admin has a smaller cap on the number of guesses. The averages are the same. It's kind of almost a flaw of using averages here, but I don't know how I'd do better. It really depends on what you're targeting, right? Are you targeting consistency, or you just care about average and luck plays a factor? Because admin removes the ability to get a 2, right? So do you want to try to get lucky and get a 2, in which case you just go for it, and that's equally as good as in terms of average as just going for a filler word and then guaranteeing getting it in 3. But that means you can't get it in 4, right? Anyway, I think I've talked about that long enough, but anyway, the most common starting word is adieu. After adieu, it suggests trace with that A and E. And then pleat. There's 12 words left. Get that P, I guess. Adieu is always 1 word behind all the other solves. And then we're down to steak steam. So it could be a 4 or a 5. All right, and then audio. All right, clasp is the way out there. Clasp is a good one. Still need to, I remembered it today. It's just there was an E, so I couldn't use it. Hasty, saber, these spelled this other way are equal. We'll just go hasty here. So it's getting into the hasty trap here, which prevents it from losing if it was the hasty trap. And now we're down to steak, steam, straw, and sweat. And so it says do steak or steam, because straw and sweat has that EA as well, so it's helpful. You're guaranteed to get the answer after steak or steam. So it's going to be a 4 or 5. All right, so that was audio. Stare, another common starting word. It's got the STAE also, and we're also in this trap, but we haven't gotten rid of the L, so the trap's even worse. So we could do steel, stead, steam, steak. This is worst case scenario. So it's going to be a 2, 3, 4, or 5 in equal measure. All right. And Pert tries to get in 2. It does not today. It goes latte. There was some discussion in the comments, just between me and one other commenter, about Pert in 2, like, what if we do get into, like, what if one day it is latte, or latte's already been the answer? Shouldn't we try for something else? But the whole analysis with Pert runs on the assumption that every single answer in this bucket is equal in probability, which is actually untrue, because things that have been the answer before have a much lower probability. It's not a 0 probability, but it's a significantly lower probability of being the answer than the other ones in the bucket. And that would complicate the, it'd be an interesting exercise. I haven't considered whether I'm going to do it yet. But like getting it in, like every day you'd have to reevaluate what word has the highest chance to get it in 2 if you're going to account for the probability of certain words being the answer based on whether they've been the answer before and how long ago that was. And if you did that, then every day the starting word, the optimal starting word, and the follow up guess is going to be different because every day changes the probability of one word. And it might be stable for a bit. It would be really interesting to see if, oh, on this date suddenly it flips and now this other word's better. So that would be kind of neat, but that's a bit out of scope of what we're going to do in this little analysis section at the end of the video. So really the thing to think about is if you're truly just going to pick a random one out of here and you're like optimizing for getting it in 2 and nothing else, then just, roll a die and pick one of these 26. And so you have a 1 in 26 chance of getting it in 2. But in reality, you're always supposed to go latte in this situation. So you're only ever going to get the answer once for this bucket. But at the same time, PERT still maximizes the total number of buckets there are. And that's really all that matters. And so you're going to get it into that many times equal to the number of buckets that there are. And other words are going to get into fewer times because they have fewer buckets. Anyway, latte does not get it into. And now we're in this trap again. This time we have tweak also, but we're going to go like stead, steam, steak. So it could be a 3, 4, or 5. I believe. Because I believe steak was offered here. Yeah. All right. And finally, tarps. I don't know why I have so much trouble thinking of tarps. All right. It's going to go least. So it is going to do a Saleh anagram because we already got rid of the P. So we don't need to get rid of it again. And we're in the same trap. Right. So 3, 4, or 5. All right. Well, let's check with the official bot. Let's see how people did today. We've got, just saving the screenshot here, steak. So in hard mode, it gave me a 96 skill. It's not bad. River, it really doesn't like. Give a 54 skill to River. So how many started with River? 236 others. We've got slate, steel, stale. So a lot of the Saleh anagrams. How many paid attention last time and said, let's include a P? We got plate, we got place, and we got plain. Stole does the best of these today, which is interesting. And then stale after that. Place is what I did, and it's got an average 3.3. You get into that trap. All right. And then stead, it didn't like. It also preferred steak. So there's something about steak that has more buckets. So if we look, so with stead we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 buckets, and we have 16 buckets with steak. And so more buckets is better. We still end up with this trap, so it wouldn't have made a difference in this case. But we split this up differently. Look, we don't end up with this sheaf sneak bucket. I think that's the big thing. Anyway. All right. Gave me 99s all the way down. That's why I increased it to 96. Tarp, stale, stead, stim, steak. So it does the worst case scenario here. 0.5 starting with steak. That must be some people getting in 1. Like, oh, I'm eating steak while I play Wordle. Let me start with steak. That can happen. All right. So congrats to those who got it in 1. 10.9, 36.9, 66.5, 89.9, 98.7. All right. Losing on this trap. Stead, steam, steel, steen even, and steer. Yeah, so if you don't get rid of the R and the L early enough, or the N, these are available. All right, let's refresh and check regular mode. Upload this one. Give me 95 skill. Ooh, a little bit lower. So what did the best? Steak did the best. Some people got into. No 1 point somethings, interestingly. We've got stale and steam doing well at 2.0. Steam makes sense, of course. Place was popular and did a 3.1. Oh, slate did a 2.0 as well. All right. It does slate mode steak. 0.7 starting with steak. Yeah, so there's people who start with steak. Be interesting to see yesterday's and how many started with stake yesterday if it's on the list. It might not be, because I think it's going to drop to around 0.2 or 0.3%, which wouldn't show up on the list. All right, 8.6, 30.6, 60.6, 86.0, 97.5, losing on the same deal, the same trap. All right. Well, how'd you do?